Cold Chisel Flame Trees kicking off SportsFeva on this Thursday morning. Swamp, Rugby League, AFL, gone.
Busted.
SportsFeva keeps rolling on.
There's plenty of summer sport. Good morning to everyone out there, and I've just dusted off the whites, Matty. It's all started. I've had the live stream of the test the Sheffield Shield game at the Gabba going. It's it's summer when that starts happening.
Isn't it perfect that it's time this year? We had the Rugby League finish on Sunday night. Monday morning we're into the Sheffield Shield season. Just no gap at all really for our sports lovers. It's absolutely perfect. And we've got an action-packed show coming up this morning, Swamp. We've got a big four guests this morning. Well, Mooney's in there as well, so I don't know if we count Mooney as a big guest. And he can't hear at the moment because he's down in Bathurst and he's going to give us a Bathurst preview at 8:30. Who else we got on the show today?
We've also got Narangba Demons head coach Matty Brad Dutton. The Demons have made it back into the major leagues in Brisbane this season, which is wonderful news for the club. So Brad's on to give us a big rundown of everything that's happening. Caboolture cricket starts this weekend as well. Perfect timing, like you said. And of course, head coach Jason Boris will be on to give us a preview of their season. Did very well last year. You'll remember captured the one-day and two-day title, so the all-conquering Snake side there. And we'll wrap that up. Stevie Gray, a good friend of the show, will be on to give us all the news from the Gabba. Two local boys playing in the Shield match there, and Cameron Backstreet Boys. And big Lukey Feldman as well, doing well as final day play gets started about 10 o'clock today.
Everyone's going well. What about that innings from Benny Cutting? We'll talk more about that with Stevie Gray. So plenty to come. Bit of a baseball theme song to get us ready for SportsFeva. 9 minutes past 8 here on 101.5. You listen to SportsFeva with Matthew and Swampy. As promised, time now to talk some local baseball. Joining us on the line is head coach of the Narangba Demons, Brad Dutton. Good morning to you.
Morning, guys.
Brad, it's a wonderful time to be a baseball fan in the region at the moment with everything starting to kick off. But wonderful news from the Narangba Demons. A big push from them last year to try and earn promotion back into the major leagues. And with your signing to the club, pretty much found the final piece of the puzzle they needed to make that a reality. Exciting time to be with the Demons there, is it, mate?
Yeah, it is, mate. The one thing Narangba's always had is had juniors, and they've had a lot of seniors, but they just haven't had the guys to commit and play in the A grade. But with all these juniors coming up now, it's going to be an exciting time, and they can stay at the club and not go anywhere else to play senior baseball.
And that's a big thing for the club as well, as they would have had to go across to a club like the Padres or perhaps to Pine Hills to find that senior baseball. This current crop of young players, though, Brad, are they a pretty exciting young group?
Yeah, they are, mate. We got a guy, Fritz, who's done the Australian Academy for the last couple of years, and Bryce Collins, who is one of the lively arms in Australian baseball right now, and he's got a promising future. So it's good to have those young guys, and plus a couple of guys who have made the Brisbane North team. So it's exciting for them, and they can get the quality of baseball they need to improve their future in baseball.
Now, there is a young side, but there are a few experienced heads in both yourself and former Demon there who spent a bit of time over in the States in Rory Rhodes. I suppose, as the head coach and a player as well, mate, what kind of role are you looking to take on there this season?
It's more of a leadership role. You know, you got to teach these young guys the way we want to play, the way like I've been brought up on baseball, and it's hustle and play the game the right way. No matter if you're losing 17-0 or you're winning 17-0, you should still be playing the same way of baseball. So with guys like me, Rory Rhodes, he's been actually a trainer the last couple of weeks, and like I can already see the young kids looking up to him, and also my brother Wade Dutton. So we've got 3 Bandits guys in there, and hopefully they can look up and see how we take the game on, and it'll help them in the future.
And 3 of the best baseball talents to come out of the Moreton Bay region in the trio there as well, mate. Now, the season has kicked off. I suppose it's going to be a pretty tough year this year, just earning that promotion into the A grade. Plenty of teams there that are very good sides. What are your expectations from the Demons this year?
Obviously, I hate using the word rebuilding, but it is kind of like a rebuilding year, and with the A grade this year, you're allowed 3 imports because we were late getting into the comp. I think it was 2 weeks into it. We didn't get the opportunity to maybe get that pitcher or get that hitter. So that just like the experience for the young guys, like I was saying, it's going to be good for them knowing that they can compete with men. And I know the first weekend we played, there was a lot of nervous faces. I think we had 5 guys that were 16 years old, and you could tell they were just a bit nervous, wondering what to expect, and just confidence building, and hopefully results will turn our way during the season.
Yeah, I think the first game of that season was a little bit of a dust-up in the local derby against Pine Hills, but the second game was much closer, only going down 7-5, I believe it was.
Even the first game, it was 4-0 going into the fifth, and because it was the first game, and we basically just ran out of pitches. So it was still a really close game going into the fifth, and on Sunday we gave them 3 runs on 2 out errors. So if you take that away, we should have won the game 5-4. But in all, coming back on that Sunday was a really good effort. And Grant Pananzio, another 16-year-old kid, pitched for me, and he did a great job going 4 innings for 2 runs. So.
Now, the Demons will face Carina this weekend, but things are going to be a little bit tough with you, with most of those junior ranks called into the under-18 state championships this weekend. So a bit of a tough time against Carina, perhaps?
Yeah, it might be. Those junior guys are basically my pitchers too, so we've got to figure out that this weekend. But in saying that, we got Rory Rhodes coming back this weekend, and we got Matt West, another local talent, who went over to college for 4 years. So we're bringing those 2 guys back into the team. So, like I said, if we pitch well and play good defense and get our timely hitting, you never know what will happen in baseball.
And the first home game of the season for the Demons will be not this weekend coming, but next weekend, starting on the Friday night on the 12th of October. It will be against the Indians. Hoping for a nice big crowd down there on the Friday night and the Sunday to cheer the Demons at home, Brad?
Yeah, it'd be good, mate. It'd be good to get all the juniors out there, because it's been a long time since they've had an A-grade game out there. So instead of them travelling to watch an A-grade game, they can go to their local park and see us boys play, and hopefully put on a good show for them.
We look forward to it, Brad. We look forward to the season ahead. We wish you all the luck here from SportsFeva, and no doubt we'll touch base throughout the year to track the Demons' progress, and best of luck for the season ahead.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Cheers, Brad.
Cheers, Brad. Brad Dutton there, Narangba Demons head coach, and looking forward to the season ahead, Swamp.
There's some really, really exciting young talent on that side, Matty, like Brad did mention in Josh Fritz and Bryce Collins, who has spent a couple of years at the Major League Academy at the Gold Coast and played for Australia. They're probably just a little bit young at the moment, but this is going to be awesome experience for those boys, and to be guided by players like Brad, his brother Wade, and Roy Rhodes, who are 3 of the best baseball talents in this region. They're all Brisbane Bandits players in the Australian Baseball League. They've all had experience overseas. It's a really great thing. So, look, it might be some tough things at the start of the year for the Demons, but I tell you what, if those young kids start to get a little bit of some swagger and get a little bit of confidence, they've got some real talent to back up.
They strike me as a team that, look, the start of the year is going to be tough, but yeah, like you said, Swamp, towards the end of the year, if they're in striking distance, watch out. But again, what a great news for path. We always talk about pathways on SportsFeva, and this is just another, the Demons being promoted is just another great pathway for young baseballers within this region. Yeah,
and that was a big thing that they wanted to do with this major league. They were losing a lot of kids at the 16, 17-year age group going to those other clubs just so they could play major leagues, and there was no slight against them from the Demons. They just didn't have quite that talent to put that major league team together, but they're absolutely over the moon to have this top flight baseball back, and should be some exciting things down at the Demons this season.
Yeah, fantastic. A big SportsFeva bump headed the Narangba and Demons way. Time now to hear from our sponsors. We'll be back to talk more sport. Radio for local business and radio for local sport, and particularly a local cricket. It's time now to talk to a good friend of the show, Jason Boris from the Caboolture cricket team. Good morning to you.
Morning, guys. How you going?
Yeah, we're very good here, Jason, as always, when cricket season is about to start. Now, I know we're all talking about the start of cricket season, but things have been bubbling along quite nicely for quite a little while at Grant Road. I understand pre-season's been going quite well down there for the Snakes.
It has been, mate. Pre-season's been fantastic this year. We've been going for nearly 13 weeks now, which I'd imagine to be longer than any other team. We had a really good hit out at the intra-squad friendly last Saturday. And having Cameron Garnham on board as, I guess, to help me out and to help I think my game has suffered over the last few years, balancing coaching and playing, but my game's gone to a new level, so look, I'm really excited, and I think everything bodes well for a great season.
You spoke about Cameron coming back into the system there, Jason. Who are some of the other ins and outs for this season ahead?
I suppose in A grade, Cameron Garnham will just come in and he's going to bat sort of down the lower order, and Scott Malini won't be playing this year due to family commitments. But apart from that, first grade is as was last year pretty much. I think the only change is Lockie Wright goes back to second grade, and Clayton Simpson, who had chickenpox last season, comes back to the top of the order, which for us is massive. It's good stability as well.
Jason, one of my favourite things about this Caboolture side is the bowling attack that it possesses. There's so much variety and so much balance for mine, both with yourself and Tom McInerney operating with very accurate and sometimes scary pace from Tom. And one of my very favourite players from last year in Matt Anderson, back on board for 2012, 2013.
Yeah, I guess the only blip, guys, is Tommy may miss this weekend's game with a slight tech injury. We're not 100% sure. He hasn't bowled for the last 2 weeks. It won't be anything major. If he does play, he'll just play as a batsman. So potentially we could just go in with myself, Parko, and the three spinners. Andy Shablon having, come back at the club. His bowling has just gone back to where it was 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm really excited about Shabs, and obviously having Ando, who to me is the best bowler in the competition. So I can't talk about myself. So I think he's the marquee bowler in the comp, and he was fantastic last year.
And a wonderful sort of counterpoint to both yourself and Tom, but there's certainly no slouches in this team with the bats, right down to 11 with Matt Anderson. And I know we saw some partnerships from yourself and Matt there at the bottom of the order last year, but one of the most exciting batsmen on the Sunshine Coast, Luke Smeltskoff, looking to head back up the order and do some good things with the bat for the Snakes again this year as well.
I think we're going to look to bat him in the middle order again. He'll probably bat 5 in the 2 days, and in the 1 days and the 2020s he'll float in an attacking role. He prefers the older ball in the 2-day cricket. I mean, if he comes in at 3 for 120, I mean, whoever's bowling is no match for him. So with a new ball, any bowler can get a good one early away, and because Santa has such a good eye, he does tend to nick off occasionally. But I think having him in the middle order is going to be the way to go.
Now, speaking of all those competitions, dominant side last year, but there's been one little title that's evaded the Snakes for the last couple of years, and that's been the 2020 title. Is there a bit of a feeling amongst the boys this season that with limited ins and outs, essentially the same side and a very strong side, that a win in both the 2020, the 1 day and the 2 day competition might be possible?
Oh, mate, we obviously have taken a new theory on this year, and it's all about getting our processes right. We're not worried about the results. We went through everything last year with a fine-tooth comb, and even though we won both competitions, we didn't play great cricket, which is pretty scary for the opposition, considering what we've done the last 12 weeks about getting our processes right and being a bit more accountable for our actions. But the 2020 has been talked about quite a bit. From a personal point of view, I missed the last 2 grand finals with injury. I've trimmed down, lost about 7 kilos this year, so I'm back to where I want to be. And it's definitely a competition. We start against Noosa next Tuesday that we're going to be taking very seriously.
Now, it's something that cricket sides across Queensland will be praying and hoping for this year. The weather was again a bit of a nasty influence on the season last year, with plenty of games rained out. Is everyone, I suppose, across the cricket fraternity just looking forward to playing almost a full season this year?
Oh, definitely. And I think from all reports, it's going to be a nicer summer. I mean, we've got a pretty hard start, I guess. We play Caloundra at home this weekend in the first 2 days, and this Saturday, next Saturday, and then we're away at Gympie, who have recruited 3 Scorcher players. So, look, we start the season pretty tough, and we'll have an idea of where we're at. And if we can get off to a good start, if the weather does intervene again, then we're already in a position to make it count for later in the season.
We love our cricket here at SportsFeva, Jason, and we, after talking to you this morning, pretty excited about this season ahead for the Caboolture Snakes. We look forward to it. No doubt we'll touch base with you throughout the season and as we track the progress of the Snakes this year in all 3 competitions.
Yeah, no problems, mate. Everyone's as excited as you are. We can't wait to get the ball rolling against Caloundra on Saturday, and we'll we'll have a few surprises in store for all the teams this year, so look out.
Look out. There you go. It's been there. We're looking forward to it. Thanks, Jace.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, Jason.
Oh, that sounds exciting, Swamp.
And look, it's hard not to get swept up in it, Matty. They are, although they were an exceptionally strong team last year, and plenty of better judges than myself across the coast have said on paper they're the best team out there. And Scott Malini was a rock for them last year, but disappointing not to have him in there. But they've added plenty with the returns of Cameron Garnham, who, of course, you could add the title favourite son there to the club, and Clayton Simpson. So there's not a lot. If anything, I'd say that the Snakes have gotten stronger this year. Of course, they would be a stronger side if Scott was there, but look, they're no worse off than they were last year.
Malini out, Garnham in. One Tullawong boy replaces another. Geez, it's just straight off that production line. Tullawong smells coffee's another Tullawong boy. Geez,
and that I just can't underestimate that bowling attack there. The balance at the side.
I thought you were going to say you can't underestimate that production line of Tullawong. But anyway, go on.
The bowling attack, the pace of Voris, McInerney and Parkinson combined with just the incredibly smart and I think Wiley's the best term of Matt Anderson. He really is such a fantastic bowler there. They're going to be a really tough side to handle, and they honestly, truly bat down to 11. So there's no easy wickets, and you don't have any. You can't clock off until you've got that last wicket. So, look, there could be for some big things this season. The Snakes, whether or not they can claim that elusive 2020 title is another thing, but they'll be very hard to beat in the 2-day and 1-day competition.
Get on them, Swamp, for all three of their specials. Now, I couldn't find Come On Aussie, Come On, but this one will get us fired up for the cricket season as well.
Won't it?
You like it?
I like it.
Baseball, cricket, we're away from the ball sports now, down to the motorsports. It's the biggest weekend in Australian motorsport, and we've got our man on the ground. He was our rugby league correspondent throughout the year. Now he's our Bathurst man, Mooney, Shane Moon. You're versatile if nothing else.
Oh, guys, how are you? I don't know if it's versatile or stupid or just a sports nut, mate. Any sport, I'm there. It's just great fun being up here, mate, and great fun being anywhere where there's sport.
And we appreciate your dedication for SportsFeva to go down there to Bathurst so you could report back for us. Thank you very much for that.
Mate, wearing Team Media shirts from our scooter racing the other day, raising funds for Family Haven. Look at the picture with the binoculars around my neck. I feel like Johnny Tapp.
Johnny Tapp, very good, Mooney. Well, take us through the big weekend at Bathurst, and we know you've got an alliance to one side there, but try and give us a bit of an unbiased opinion how you think the weekend will unfold.
Mate, absolutely beautiful down here, not a cloud in the sky. They're predicting light rain on Saturday night down here, and a little bit maybe Sunday morning. But they think the race is going to be perfectly dry. So yeah, mate, Formula Fords has just finished down here at the moment. 8:35, the Touring Car Masters come on. It's a packed field. We got three practice sessions today, 10:40, 12:55 and 3:05 are the 8s. I think they're all going to be out. It's going to look quite good because they're using some of the, for now 50 years of Bathurst, they're actually using some of the old livery colours and patterns on the cars from the old, from sort of years ago when it first started and that, and Ford's performance in the old colours, and I even believe Dickie Johnson's bringing out the old True Blue again. So. And also Holden Dealing, I believe Craig Lowndes is going to be decked out in one of Rocky's old cars. So, mate, it's going to be very exciting out here and filling up, unbelievable. Mate, I'm just really stoked to have the opportunity to be here for 50 years. The history of Bathurst is unbelievable.
Mooney, it's one of those really iconic sporting events in the Australian landscape, and to be celebrating 50 years this year, what's the atmosphere like down there? I imagine that there's plenty of motorsport fans who are just over the moon this year, to use the pun, to be at Bathurst celebrating 50 years.
Mate, it's absolutely unbelievable, and everyone recognises that. Lots of people walking around at the moment with 50-year celebration caps and hats. Ford and Holden, big battle at the moment to see who's got the most flags around. It's just absolutely picturesque walking around. I'm up on the top of the hill at Mount McPhillamy, just before you go through Skyline, Brocky Skyline, down through the dippers there. Mate, it's absolutely awesome looking down the hill, and you can see the crowd building. I tried to take a couple of photos and send you beforehand.
We got a couple there, Mooney. Not great for radio, but we've enjoyed them here in the studio.
Yeah, I know, but mate, I just wanted you guys to sort of try and have experience. It's just filling up. There's people lined up at the gates. We went for a little bit of a run out this morning and that, and people are crowded, just lining up, waiting to get in already, mate. And I have to admit, when I probably crashed last night sometime around 10 o'clock and got up this morning, it looked like we'd had an explosion of life in the paddock where we are. There was more tents and more cars and more people that came in overnight.
Mooney, Matty and I don't have any particular allegiance to any one dealer, but one car that we'll be following is local boy Craig Lowndes. How do you think Lowndes is going to go this weekend?
Mate, local guy Lowndes is great driver, great history, great pedigree for Lowndes, and mate, I wear my colours on my sleeve. I'm a Ford man and love the Lowndes when he was racing in the Ford, but he's in Holden now, and there's going to be a bit of memory here for Brocky, I believe, before the race day as well. They're going to run around in one of his old cars, prior Lowndes is, and I think Lowndes wearing the colours and the sort of unique look of an old Brocky car, I think it's going to get the emotions of him, and I think he'll either do one or two things. He'll win the race by a country mile, or he's going to go that hard to win the race on a country mile and cause himself damage.
Well, there you go. I probably tend to agree with you, Mooney. I reckon you're probably spot on there. So, if Lowndes doesn't win it, if it's a second scenario and you says he goes out, who is the winner?
Mate, I like Winterbottom in the Fords, the Orcon Fords. He's good, and mate, you look at all the drivers there, mate. Any one of them on their day can win it. There's so many good drivers out here. There's so many drivers that have won Bathurst and been touring car champions. And you've got to remember too, on this whole venue today, on the itinerary for the 4 days, is the Dunlop Series, which is the second tier V8. That's where the up-and-coming drivers, the younger V8 drivers, are cutting their teeth in the older cars, and a lot of them are coming in as backup drivers for primary drivers. So, mate, there's some awesome drivers when you look at some coming. And don't forget, 50 years, big history, Alan Moffat's son driving the 17 True Blue for Dickie Johnson. Don't underestimate his skills either, and his father's knowledge of this track.
You're going to have a great time down there, Mooney. We really appreciate you sparing us a couple of minutes down there to report in live from Bathurst. I know you've got the historical touring cars coming up at 8:35, mate. It's bang on that. We better let you go. Thanks for your report on Bathurst this morning.
Just before I go, one thing, just a couple of time frames. Saturday, main day, 10:25 is the final practice before the 7:30 top 10 shootout. And then Sunday morning, we got 7:25 warm-up for a 10:30 start. 161 laps. I'm going to be stuck along trackside for it, mate. It's going to be so good.
Make sure you keep hydrated, Mooney.
Yeah, always.
Good on you, Shane.
Cheers, Mooney.
Cheers.
I think, well,
Mooney, our rugby league tipster to our Bathurst correspondent. Is there nothing this man can't do?
Perhaps win too many tips throughout the year. Hey, he did it right in the back end.
Hey, I'll tell you what too, he was the only one on our show last week that tipped the Swans, so he might go all right in the AFL.
He might. Maybe we need to switch him around next year.
Swap him around. Anyway, there's Shane Moon for you. Time now for a word from our sponsors. 18 minutes to 9 here on SportsFeva. That was Clarence Clemens and Jackson Brown with You're a Friend of Mine, and a good friend of the show here at SportsFeva is Stephen Gray from Queensland Cricket. Good morning to you, Steve.
Yeah, good morning, Swampy. Beautiful segue there, mate. Well done.
Mate, we try to do our best with segues here on the show. Glad you liked it, mate. But we're talking at the start of the show about how it worked perfectly. The footy season, the NRL finished on Sunday night. Monday morning, we're into the Sheffield Shield season.
That's right, mate. Recovery for those who enjoyed their grand final was a nice, quiet sort of morning at the Gabba. Admittedly, the weather wasn't as flash, and it was pretty hairy for the batsmen out there. There wasn't too much relaxing going on for them that opening day, but it set itself up for a pretty good start to the season. Queensland have probably got the upper hand coming in the last day today against South Australia, but it's been actually been a really entertaining game. Lots of highlights on both sides, and certainly for Queensland, where we've seen a young man in Usman Khawaja, make his sort of first appearance for Queensland and do very nicely in difficult batting conditions, as I mentioned on the first day. And then, of course, Ben Cutting sort of enthralling the crowd with his particular brand of stand and deliver and whacking balls all around the park. So he had a great thing to get his maiden first-class century. And, of course, yesterday, Chris Hartley, a man we only talked about a few months ago for the Shield final, picking up an unbeaten century to sort of, I guess, get Queensland out of a small spot of bother and give them a chance to really press for outright points today. So yeah, it's been a good start to the summer so far. If you can say that in September.
Steve, I watched Usman Khawaja make his Test debut in Sydney, and I rated him as a really great young player with a big future ahead of him. And it's really been a bit of a match, if you will, so far for the New South Wales imports. Both Khawaja and Phil Hughes doing good things with the bats. On Big Uzi, though, a wonderful debut performance from him.
Yeah, right. As you said, a very competent, very classy young player, and probably, he made the call to move, as did Phil Hughes for South Australia, because they felt they needed to do something to spark themselves and get themselves back to the next level. Both having tasted Test cricket, so the suggestion was that they try very hard to come up with a way to make the selectors look at them with different eyes, I suppose, and that's why Usman made the right call. He's come to the Gabba where he scored runs before. But he's going to come up here. He's coming up as effectively a senior player with some with high expectations on him. So he knows he's got to work hard. He can't sort of sit, I guess, in that New South Wales team, which is star-studded and really had if Usman Khawaja missed out, then Michael Clark might get over or Phil Hughes or Simon Kadich or there was a bit of luxury times with that New South Wales team and Queensland have always said we want to strengthen their batting, and I think he made the right call. He's going to bat where he probably liked to in the top order, and with any luck, he'll really get a chance to shine at the Gabba and away. You mentioned Phil Hughes too. Look, he has looked excellent so far in this game. Nearly got 95 in the first innings. He's unbeaten at the moment. I think he really wants to put 100 on the board in this first game, just as a statement of intent, because he's got that great, I guess, desire to get back to the Test level, where, let's face it, he did excel at that time. He got Test hundreds and stuff, but of course last year he had that awful run against New Zealand where it seemed like every time he walked out it was Martin Guptill and Chris Martin just looked at each other, gave the nod and the wink, and a few balls later they had their two different.
Had their man. Now, we touched on Benny Cutting and that amazing innings. I know someone that been a long follower of Sheffield Shield cricket at the Gabba, gets along to most games. He said some of the best innings he's ever seen were from Matty Hayden and Andrew Simons at their swashbuckling best. He put Cutting, although maybe not technique-wise or the most orthodox innings of all time, he said he put it right up there with an innings he'd seen from Simons or Haydos.
Yeah, that's a good call. Someone in the press box mentioned Ian Botham the other day in the sense that ability to sort of basically knock an attack apart and then sort of turn around and take a ball and get key wickets too. And that might be going a little bit far, but yeah, one thing about Ben is he's a clean hitter, he's a long hitter, and he's got his technique. He's got a pretty good technique. He's a little bit unorthodox. He's got a pretty good technique, and because he's tall, he tends to be able to play most of the shots pretty well. So it was good to watch him, and he's certainly a young player on the rise. You would hope that he would get a look in for higher honours, injury-free, touch wood, that he has a good summer.
And the other big century of the game, Steve, was, of course, to Chris Hartley at a time when the Bulls were really struggling there. The wickets were falling free and easy, and Hartley came in and played a wonderful knock to really steady the ship and, I suppose, put the Bulls in the commanding position that they are in today.
Yeah, run a ball 100 too, which is interesting for Chris, because people do associate him with being sort of a digger in and scrapping away to try and get those runs when they're in trouble. And we were in trouble, but he played with great positiveness. I should mention the other bloke who's probably gone unmentioned so far is James Hopes, the skipper, has had 2 40s, and each time he's come out and played aggressively and turned some momentum the way of Queensland when they were a bit of strife, and with the ball took a fifer in the first innings. So
he seems to be getting better with age, Hopesy.
Yeah, I think injury-free is the secret with Hopesy, and let's face it, he's a good cricketer, he's a classy cricketer, and he knows that he knows sort of what he can do, and I think particularly against the sides like the Redbacks, which have got some young batsmen. James, he works them out pretty quickly and bowls pretty well, and bowls well to a plan. So I think he's good to have in this position. He gets great balance to the side as the all-rounder doing things with bat and ball. So you'd like to hope that again, a bit like Ben Cutting, touch wood, has an injury-free summer, because it really makes a big difference to Queensland's prospects.
One of our favourite players in their side, Steve, is young Brendale boy, a Moreton Bay product, Cameron Boyce, and he's been good without being a standout in this game, and actually hit some good form with the bat in the first innings. Great to see Cameron get a run. Are you seeing some big things for him this season?
Yeah, I do. Look, it's interesting. He's got Nathan Horrocks lurking about now, and Horry's a proven performer and has done it at the highest level. But I think that's going to work well for Cameron. He'll know when he gets to start that he's expected to perform, and that's good. I think he's getting a good chance to apply his trade. You know, bowling at the gap is always a good sign for him, and he did bowl well too. I think each time he's had a trouble, he's looked like he's done something with the ball, and he's confounded a few batsmen too. So, and with the bat, he's vastly improved. He's really come along with his cricket camp, and he's worked very hard in the off-season. So, yeah, look, he's a nice prospect. I think we'll continue to see good things from him. And as I say, having Nathan Horrocks around, it just means that he knows that, okay, there's some competition, but there's also some kindred souls around too, mate. So you can see him doing the right thing, I reckon, for Queensland. And I hope he gets a good run. I know Rod Marsh was at the match for the first few days, so I'm sure he would have taken note, just jotted down that Cam's got a bit more developing going, which is good.
And so the Sheffield Shield finishes today. Take us through the schedule for the other competitions, Steve. We've got the Ryobi Cup, and of course we've got the Big Bash, the Brisbane Heat in the Big Bash happening later in the year as well.
Yeah, look, I'll do it in 25 words or less, but there's a Ryobi Cup game on Sunday for Queensland against Victoria, then we play the Vicks in a Shield game starting on Wednesday at the Gabba, so plenty of cricket in Brisbane next week. We've also got the Big Bash is coming up, the Test match, of course, November the 9th, and tickets are on sale very soon, within the next, actually the ACF members are getting there this week, and then the general public from the 11th, but Test match on November the 9th, and of course, the Big Bash, December and January is when the Big Bash is on. The Heat have got 4 home games, 2 before Christmas and 2 after Christmas, and look, they're an interesting stage. No Matthew Hayden this season, but he's certainly going to be he's going to be missed. But I know that there's going to be some. I think there's some interesting signings to come. The Heat have got 3 to go. They've got the KFC T20 Challenge being played shortly, which is all those players from various places around the grade scene and regional Queensland. So I think there's going to be a couple of interesting smokies pop up in that heat squad towards by the start of the season. So it's going to be pretty entertaining. It's a big game. It's a big series at stake, Big Bash these days. It's the second year of it, and there's lots riding on it. So we could probably talk a whole show about that, maybe.
We probably will, Steve. And with those 3 signs, if you can just throw my name out, handy off spinner that can bat down lower order too, mate.
That's right. You've got the pedigree in the name to do, haven't you?
That's it, mate. That's it. Righto. Good on you, Steve.
Thank you, folks.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Stevie Gray there, Swamp. We're looking forward to this cricket season, and just we didn't mention it with Steve, another good friend of our show here, Chris Lynn, not being able to make his way into that batting order, so it shows the depth there of the Bulls there at the moment, the quality player. Chris Lynn, who I still think is a chance to be a Test batsman, just can't crack that side at the moment.
Yeah, had a bit of a lean trot at the end of last year, Chrissy Lynn. And when you look at that top order, you'd probably be hard pressed to delete about any of those players for his favour. But it might be that kick, that bump that he needs, and there's every chance that he'll be working his way back into that side towards the end of the season. One player I'm really looking forward to seeing this year, Matty, is Alistair McDermott. He's a wonderful young player, and he just seems to get better and better as he gets older. And it might not be too long before we see him with a shot in the Aussie T20 squad or even in the one day squad. He's a wonderful young player.
He's got Test match cricket written all over him too. He was a star in that Shield match. He got some key wickets in the Sheffield Shield final.
Yep.
Right, he got Ponting. When Ponting early in his innings, and we know what punter can do. I think his effort was really underrated in the Shield final. He's a star of the future. There's some. It's been a long time since I've been so excited about a Queensland team. I think it's going to be one of these teams that we lose a lot of players to that Test level, and our depth will be really tested. But I think it's a really exciting time for Queensland cricket.
And of course, with the elder statesman Buff Lehman at the helm, there's a certain air of confidence about it. He did wonderful things with the side last season, and he knows his stuff, and has a really exciting young group to work with there.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited about the season ahead, and we'll no doubt keep our eyes on the Bulls right throughout the season in all forms of cricket. Now, Swampy, wouldn't still be a Thursday morning if we didn't touch on some Dolphins news. We're off tomorrow night to the presentation night for the Peter Lease Medal. We're talking off air earlier. Who's your tip to win this? For those that aren't aware, the Peter Lease Medal is for the Dolphins' best and fairest player.
Look, Matty, I think I can't decide. I'm either going to pick Liam Lummy Georgetown or Luke Capewell. Both of them had just brilliant seasons. Lummy broke all kinds of records. Luke Capewell, of course, winning the Courier Mail medal, which is the Intrust Super Cup equivalent of the Peter Lease medal. So he was named the best player in the Intrust Super Cup, right at the top. But look, flip a coin between the two. They're my two hot picks.
I'm declaring one. I'm declaring a special. And I'm going for five. I said off air it was 4-0. I'm pretty sure I'm going for 5 in a row. Joey Bond. Get on. I don't think there's a market anywhere, but get on.
He'll be up there, and in the season that the Dolphins had, you could pick any number of players in that side. You couldn't discount Nick Sliney, who has had another wonderful season. Of course, the medals from last year. Guys like Troy Geese as well, a fantastic season. And
another former winner too, who I think will get sneaky votes as well, will be right up there in the count, Tommy Butterfield.
Yep, absolutely. There's plenty of... And that'll be the interesting thing this year. There's plenty of blokes that are going to be standing up and calling out for votes. There's probably been one or two standouts for mine, but there could be games that votes get pulled away from certain players. So it'll be very interesting to see. But I think it'll be Liam Georgetown or Luke Capewell.
Well, there you go. We've covered 3 players there, and Bondi special. I'm declaring it. So now we must touch last weekend, the biggest weekend in Australian sport, in my opinion. Rugby league, the AFL went to Sydney, and the NRL went to Melbourne.
It's all upside down.
What's going on in the world? Don't know, but we've seen 2 great grand finals. I think that was, as far as grand finals, you couldn't have asked for anything better. That AFL, and we, I admit, not huge AFL followers. We love the sport, but not as passionate as some of the other people around, like our good friend Andre Grumeau, but that was enthralling.
Yeah, absolute cracking game of footy, and I was chewing my nails, and I didn't have an interest in any of those sides in the last quarter. I was nervous, but I'd love seeing the Swannies get up. I don't know if you could call them an underdog, but they were definitely a team that didn't quite have those standout stars that the Hawks did. And look, they're just a team of hard workers. They get in and they get the job done, and it prevailed on the day, and a wonderful win by the Swans.
I felt Swannies were red and white, and I thought, well, that's one for the Dolphins. And then I thought, geez, there's a lot of parallels between Hawthorn and the Dolphins, wasn't there? I know, the best team all year and just failed. We're right into the end, and there was a lot of that in the Canterbury game too. I felt the minor premiers, and just couldn't click on the day. And I don't think it was as much that they played badly. Melbourne Storm were just an excellent, and they're such a well-coached side. I know there's some differing opinions on Craig Bellamy as a coach. Bennett's, was one of the greats, but geez, Craig Bellamy is a freak of a coach.
They were flying as close to perfect a game as you could get, the Storm. They were just absolutely brilliant. I think at one stage there, in the first half, the stat that stuck in my head, that Canterbury had completed 3 of 4 sets, and on the flip side, the Storm had completed 10 from 10, which is just extraordinary. They were hammering the Canterbury line in that first half, and I thought any lesser team would have conceded 20-30 points in that first half easily, and the Bulldogs weren't unlucky, but they were almost into that break at 4-4, and that would have been a win for them. A couple of late tries, I think, really did the dagger. And as much as the Storm didn't let the Bulldogs score in the second half, the Bulldogs kept the Storm out as well, and there's some big pressure. But you couldn't take that away from the Storm. They were just fantastic.
We spoke about it last week, the fact of that, and the difference was Cronk, Slater, Smith. They're a huge 3. They're 3 big game players. They've played finals football. They've played State of Origin. They made the big plays on the night, and that was the difference. Big game players, they're 3 of the best I've ever seen, full stop, and they were all there on the one team. Cameron Smith, I think I I think he's still underrated for all the ratings and raps he gets. I put him right up on that, Darren Lockyer, Wally Lewis. He's just got class. He's the best I've seen.
At one stage in that match, he had Frank Pritchard, Sam Cassiano, and David Stagg trying to tackle him. Now, they're three of the biggest boppers going around in rugby league, and Cameron Smith is by no means small, but he's definitely not up there, and they couldn't bring Cameron Smith to ground. He stood his ground in that tackle, and that's just the kind of player that he is. He's just as tough as nails, Cam Smith. He gave him plenty of movement out of dummy half. And the other thing that I thought stood out from the Storm for me, Matty, was their line speed and defence. They were so quick off that line. They were in the Bulldogs' face, and that really cut down any time that Barber had.
The Barber, Chris and Ninu, all those players cut straight down. Bellamy went with a plan he knew where he had to shut the Bulldogs down. They executed it perfectly, and some redemption for those lost premierships. So well done to all the Storm and Swan supporters out there on a successful season. Swamp, we're coming to a close on the show. Full-time siren's about to sound. Thanks for joining me again.
Always a pleasure. Very quickly, how crazy is Graham contesting the biting charge tonight?
Oh, ridiculous. he should get 16 weeks. That was a disgrace. But anyway, that's for another week. Now, thanks to all our guests.
Brad
Dutton, Jason Boris,
and
Mooney.
Stevie Gray.
And Mooney, don't forget Mooney. Stand by now for the national news.